abstain from unwholesome sinful actions, perform wholesome pious actions, and keep on purifying your mind. When an enlightened person teaches Dhamma, he teaches a universal Dhamma. He will never teach sectarian. Universal Dhamma, eternal Dhamma. The law of nature is eternal. It was there so in the past, it is so present, it will be so in the future. And it is applicable to one and all. That is Dhamma. But out of madness, out of ignorance, people forget the essence of Dhamma and they make a sect out of it. Then this sect, or this sect, or this sect. From the young age, one gets the mind conditioned with all those acceptances, all those philosophies, beliefs, dogmas. Then these very words will start carrying different meanings. Everyone will recite the same thing. Perform wholesome action, pious action, purify your mind. Every religion, every tradition, everyone will say that. But yet, the big difference in the explanations. What is sin and what is piety? When Dhamma turns into a sect, then that particular sect, the so-called pious people of this particular sect, they may be wearing this kind of robe or that kind of robe, may be having this rosary or that rosary, may be having this mark over the forehead or that mark over the forehead, this external appearance or that external appearance. Now people belonging to this particular sect will say those who have this kind of external appearance are pious people, others are not. Every sect will perform this kind of rite or that kind of ritual, this religious ceremony or that religious ceremony. And those belonging to a particular sect will say, those who are performing these rites, these rituals, these ceremonies, oh, they are pious people. And those who do not, they are not pious, they are sinful. Another mad definition is given for sin and piety. One more definition is given, which is still more confusing. Such kind of definitions of sin and piety harm Dhamma. Dhamma is no more Dhamma. What is sin? What is unwholesome action? Any action that you perform, physical or vocal, and it harms and hurts other beings, it disturbs the peace and harmony of other beings, is a sinful action, is an unwholesome action. And what is a pious action? Every action, physical or vocal, which supports, helps other beings in living a peaceful, harmonious atmosphere, which does not disturb their peace, their harmony, which does not harm them, does not hurt them, is a pious action, wholesome action. This definition is universal. An example, someone is sick, goes to a doctor examines and then writes medicine, a prescription on a paper. Very happy, comes back home, has great faith in the doctor. But how when this faith becomes blind faith, devotion becomes blind devotion. In his house, on the altar, he places a statue of the doctor, picture of the doctor, and offers sweet and fruits and flowers and incense, and then makes 108 rounds around it and goes down 3 times. What does that help? Takes out that piece of paper and keeps on reciting. 1 pill in the morning, 1 pill in the afternoon, 1 pill in the evening, 1 pill in the morning, 1 pill in the afternoon, 1 pill in the evening. What does one get? Madness. This is what happens when the faith becomes blind faith, the devotion becomes blind devotion. All right, second incident. After all, a human being, a rational being, so he runs to the doctor. Why you gave me this piece of paper? And what is this? How will it help me? The doctor is an intelligent fellow. He says, well, look, this is your disease. And this is the cause of the disease. If you take this medicine, this cause will get eradicated. When the cause gets eradicated, your sickness gets eradicated. Ah, wonderful. Now I understand. My doctor is so wonderful. His medicine is so wonderful. And what he does now? Coming back home, he starts fighting with all the neighbors. Useless, your doctors are all useless. My doctor is wonderful. The medicine suggested by your doctors is useless. The medicine suggested by my doctor is wonderful. Keeps on fighting, doesn't take medicine. Keeps on fighting. Oh, this is what happens. Every wise person, a saintly person, an enlightened person, when he finds people miserable, suffering, then he gives this prescription of Dhamma. Nobody tries to practice. They start different sects, beliefs, dogmas, rites, rituals, and get involved in that, and nobody practices. No benefit. Each individual has to experience the truth oneself to reach the final goal. So long as you are not experienced, the reality is no reality for you. It is always distorted. The reality experienced by an enlightened person, the Buddha, or say Christ, or say Muhammad, is the reality for those people, not for you. When you reach that stage and realize yourself, it becomes a reality for you, not till then. This person, Siddhartha Gautama, he realized the truth within himself, developed his Bhavanamaya Panya, and became an enlightened person, became a liberated person. This Panya that is developed within himself could liberate only one person, not two. And that one person was Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, none else. None else can liberate it because of his wisdom. Others can get guidance, others can get inspiration, that's all right. But each individual has to develop one's own wisdom to reach the final goal of full liberation. One's own wisdom, Bhavanamaya Panya, the wisdom that you lived, you experienced. This alone can break the bondages of ignorance, of craving, of aversion, of negativity. This alone can eradicate all the miseries.
rocks.
I love Jesus, he rocks.
Jesus rocks so much.
Yes.
Total Jesus freak.
All over.
Jesus was way cool. He told people to eat his body and drink his blood. That's so cool. Jesus was so cool. But then some people got jealous of how cool he was, so they killed him. But then he rose from the dead. He rose from the dead, danced around, and went up to heaven. I mean, that's so cool. Jesus was way cool.
Somebody knew. Somebody at some time knew the correct way to perceive this reality. Somebody knew what it was and how to handle it, how to overcome it. Somebody did. I don't know if the name is Jesus. If his name wasn't Jesus, screw the translation. I know the Illuminati didn't come up with a lot of those parables. They couldn't have, because if they could, meaning they had the understanding, the knowledge that builds the foundation reaching the conclusion in these parables, if they knew that, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. Let me say that again. If these people that created religion knew and understood the meaning behind those parables, they would not be doing what they're doing right now. Therefore, I know that somebody knew outside of this control system. What the name was, I don't know. Based upon what I know, whoever gave those parables would never be concerned with being anointed or being called the Christ. So, by deduction, the man existed. I can only infer that they stole the teachings of this man to sell this pagan worship of Satan. What is Satan? Satan's a consciousness. If you want to call it Satan, Semiramis, whatever, Isis, the serpent, it doesn't matter. Satan is like a consciousness that is separate, which is like cancer. Therefore, it has scalar growth, and it will see itself as one thing. So, when it seduces and entices and recruits, its reasoning will be very, very close to the reasoning that Christ would have, or the Spirit's reasoning. We are one. I am you, you are me. Very similar to creation, isn't it? Yet, it will have the cancer agenda, right? Hurt other people, that's fine. Just love me. That is the difference. The Spirit has respect and love for all of its creations. Cancer wants you to do whatever you want to that which is not its creation, to destroy it, as long as your allegiance is to the cancer. And once it sucks you in, you're its slave, whether you know it in your current role or not. It knows. So it can be very confusing for a Satanist because it will make a lot of sense. It will mirror a lot of the laws of creation, except for the love and respect for all of the creations. That will be the difference. Greed, materialism, that's what it does. There are two oneness campaigns going on simultaneously. One of them is the recruiting by the cancer. We are one. Do you understand that? We're one consciousness. Well, it's not wrong in its current state. That's absolutely true. It certainly does see itself as that way. Satan either wants you to give yourself to it or sell yourself to it. It doesn't care what your experience is and your illusion. Oh, sure, you want 7 years, anything you want in your dream? Sure, okay. You could do that anyway, but you don't know that, so yeah, sign right here. Yeah. And it recruits them and tells them how much it loves them. Do you understand that evil is going to come in the name of love? You think it's stupid? It's going to come in the name of hate? No. The number one thing that evil will push on you is love and how much it loves you. Just like the guy trying to get sex in a bar, telling the girl how much he loves her and how he'll respect her in the morning. You know, I feel so bad for Satanists. in the sense that they're being so duped. Do you realize that a lot of the truth that is used about creation, life, the elements of reality, a lot of that used to solicit them into that religion is also the teachings of Christ? How ironic that they draw upon the teachings of Christ to turn those against Christ by taking credit for the teachings of that person or anybody else that was connected to spirit. Lilith, right? All the different names for the serpent. Fine, let's call it Lilith. Just love me. Do whatever you want, just love me. And I'll love you back. There's a difference between using psychic manipulation to enhance your feeling of pleasure, the tingly sensation that it uses, that Satan uses, and true love. And the irony is this. A lot of these people that are worshiping Satan, with whatever name they choose, with whatever form Satan is using to seduce them, when they feel love, that's the love of God. But because you can't discern that with all of this confusion here, Satan just takes credit for that. Yes, that was my love. Basically, Satan plagiarizes the Spirit. To recruit, to entice, to seduce, it plagiarizes the Spirit, the Creator. It could very well be that Christianity and a lot of these religions were designed, their very purpose, thinking this many moves ahead, designed to fail. How? Why? Well, if they steal the teachings of Christ and then create this Jesus deity, this Trinity, which isn't what it was, then point their fingers at themselves like they always do, expose the Babylonian symbolism, the satanic symbolism of the religions they created. They could do that in hopes to make you abandon all Christ's teachings as well, do you see? If you don't know that they stole those teachings, then you'll think that they created those teachings. They expose the deity as symbolism, and then everybody will have their big sigh of relief. Oh, we don't have to be good. We don't have to follow any of that. You see, the ultimate last-ditch attempt to discredit Christ. Why? That opens the door for the New World religion of sorcery, or Satanism, for the utopia. It has to be that because there's no way these people doing what they're doing could have given the metaphors that Christ gave. They stole his teachings to draw people into both Christianity and Satanism. Then they're going to point the finger at the symbolism of Christianity and other religions so that people release all of the teachings of Christ, thinking it was a fraud, for the final entrapment. It's very important that you stay balanced, because regardless of what's happening in this reality, you have got to stay you. The primary foundation of what you are is love, and that's what they don't want you to know. And the easiest way to do that is to come in the name of love and slowly tear you away from it, redefine it, to ensnare you in the web. Or I love this one, the spirituality of love in the form of dissociation, bliss.
Don't talk to me so firmly, you're putting me on a negative vibration.
Satan coordinates this bullshit New Age movement to get people to dissociate. It's no different than getting drunk. It's detachment from your normal instinct to try to help everybody in this realm. You become concerned with your own bliss. Therefore, you don't speak out against it unless you're speaking out to get other people to detach. Your detachment as you walk in the woods and think that you've accomplished something, and you think your whole world is of your negative ego, that isn't stopping a little child from being raped today. Your detachment. Part of your responsibility is to get the word out. So Satan knows that. It's very, very clever. And a total defense against that is getting you to hate Satan. Satan loves that. Why would Satan love that? Because you're giving it energy, and hate is not of your true nature. Therefore, if it gets you doing that, then you give it energy. So if you hate this consciousness, call it names and curse it, it has you. It's got you. Know thyself and be thyself. Do not be where you are. Be what you are, regardless of where you are. And the only way you'll know what you are is reconnecting to what you are. Which means you're going to have to dismantle the ego somewhat. Not the mind, just the ego. When you connect to the creative spirit, now, you know, it's so difficult to be precise on this, because I don't want people seeking something outside of themselves. The way the creative spirit will interface with you will be with your spirit, which is it, a derivative of it. And then it will rise from within to command your mind. It will never speak directly to your ego. And people say, well, yeah, but the way you talk about it, it's like a conversation. No, that's my translation for you of understanding. It is my spirit that is teaching me. Do you understand that? And it gets the influence from something larger. I get a kick out of people thinking the Antichrist is going to be some sort of person with a title. No, it's this collective consciousness I've been telling you about. Anybody who is against the teachings of Christ. What's another way of saying against Christ? Antichrist. So, if you know anybody that's even publicly against, does not adhere to, or denies the teachings, not the man, the teachings, they are the Antichrist. The rise of the Antichrist, if I said the Asian flu is on the rise, I'm not talking about one individual virus, I'm talking about the collective strain, including all of the viruses in that strain. Do you understand that? The rise of man doesn't mean the rise of one man. So, the Antichrist consciousness and control system here was already there back then. The Antichrist, or diseased cancerous consciousness, is what murdered him then, and it has risen since. And those who are in control of the world are anti-Christ. It's obvious. You have sorcery being practiced on you. You have all kinds of control methods you couldn't even comprehend. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Why do you think you didn't know what you were doing? Because people think that demons somehow inject thoughts into your mind. No, your mind is a co-creation of you and foul play, whether it be mind control, a demon, or anything else. It's a co-creation, meaning a demon literally pushes your spirit out of the way, grabs the steering wheel, and uses your mind for its own intentions. In other words, it thinks for you, and the mind can't perceive that from outside of itself. Therefore, whatever it thinks it is thinking it. Therefore, the prison of the mind. And that is the phenomenon of the all-seeing eye, or the hive mind. Satan can speak through anybody at any time that it's connected to. So can the spirit. What is their primary agenda? They absolutely require you to feel responsible for whatever they have done to you. Or it just won't work. I'll say that again. They absolutely need you to feel responsible for what they have done to and through you. They need you to be ignorant of the extra-dimensional influence. Because if you're ignorant of that, you will blame everything on yourself. That's how it works. And so when you die, they come to you and create an illusion, a reality as real as the one you experience right now, and try to slam you quick. They'll come to you in whatever way they need to, based upon assessment of your mind. Your mind will be like a hard drive on a computer. They can access all of it right away, instantaneously, and will create the suitable illusion and excuse for your experience. Either you're learning a lesson and your soul is evolving, so you need to do it again, reincarnate again to grow. Bullshit. Or you have sinned and I'm judging you and I am Jesus, and you can either go to hell or you can reincarnate and learn your lesson. Bullshit. Or they'll just try to send you directly to a hell-like experience and allow them, law of contract, to torture you because you feel you were judged by God. They do all the shit through you, pervert you, corrupt you, and then use what they've done to and through you against you. And with each new life, they break your will until eventually you just give yourself to this cancer consciousness so it can absorb you for itself. Satan's intellectual strength grows with each new soul that it absorbs. You know, it's a growth. Do you understand that? It's growing like a cancer. The Spirit will not judge you. It knows that you can't work without its guidance. Your design is to do that. Therefore, if you're disconnected, it knows you're not going to work correctly. Therefore, you must assess this world with truth. You must dismantle your belief systems or be as a child, meaning pre-programming. That's part of what entering heaven as a child means. Pre-indoctrination. Technically, I mean, you shouldn't have to teach a child not to kill. It wouldn't be in their instinct to want to do that because of the guidance of Spirit. The Spirit is very strong in a child. You get these, and people say, old souls are very wise. No, the real truth is the old souls are the ones that have been here and have been having their will broken over lifetimes. So the old souls are the ones that are just following the system, and they've lost a lot of their ability to perceive the truth. You must know thyself, and the only way to know thyself is to know the love of Spirit. And once you bear witness to that, it's going to be very, very difficult for Satan to prove to you that you are responsible for anything it did through you, to put you in guilt. The creative Spirit loves you. Do not let the experience change you, no matter how painful your experience may become or pleasurable it may become. Both pain and pleasure are the same as far as Satan is concerned. Pleasure is nothing like the true joy of being commanded by Spirit, and I can guarantee you that heaven is anything but boring. You won't be like, all these rules. No, because you will create that. You would come to the same conclusion that rules try to impart in this insane reality. If you're honest with yourself, you will see that this world is insane. The whole food chain is insane. What sane mind would create a world where life consumes itself? Well, that's God just subjectively experiencing itself to learn. What? How many times does God have to be a child that gets sacrificed and raped before God gets it? No, that isn't what it is. The idea that animals need to consume each other and other life here is ridiculous. That's why people that try to do everything right here cannot. But they're conned into thinking this is normal here. You're told right off the bat you're on Earth. How do you know? Why? Because other humans tell you that? They've told you that's where you are, that this is life, the food chain is normal, biology says so. How do you know that? You're trusting everything you've been told. If your instinct, which is valid, tells you that doesn't make sense, you're right. Satan controls all of academia, all of the media, all of the money, everything you're told. This is an insane world of miscreation and creation. It makes no sense. What sane mind would create something like a mosquito, a tapeworm, a wood tick? There's no reason for that. It doesn't make any sense. Why did it happen? This is a world of both true creation, manifestation out of love, and miscreation. Both created by a mind. But if the mind is not commanded by Spirit and or love, the larger picture, then it's just math, because the mind is math. And if it doesn't have the correct guidance, then it's only mathematical probability. Do you understand that? Meaning you could take a knife and cut your hand off right now, but you're not doing that, are you? But mathematically, it's probable. Those that are not commanded by Spirit or have been taken over by cancer see the world as math. Random calculation of possibility. And it can snowball based upon pain and pleasure. This is why they, what you call the Illuminati, are likely to do something incredibly humanitarian one day, and then something incredibly heinous and horrific the next day. Mathematical probability. They see no limits. They want new formulas, new calculations, new colors, new sounds, you know? There's only one truth. And people say, no, truth is individual based upon subjective reality. No, it isn't. But insanity is individual, so congratulations. Your own insanity is the mind, which has been isolated in and of itself, which was never the design in creation. You have to stop the meaning you're projecting so that the real meaning can be revealed to you. And there is only one meaning when you see that. Love. Equal appreciation, love, and adoration for everything. And that's what Satan doesn't want you to know. That's what demons don't want you to know. They want you concerned about the future. You know, they want you to sit there and brainstorm and not be in the now. And they're strategizing against this because they know this knowledge is going to get out. That's why you would see the movie Love Guru with Mike Myers, right? Comedy is the #1 vector for mind control because it puts you in a pleasurable state and you're focused on the joke, and therefore they can slip in so many messages and you'll associate their messages with pleasure. They make fun of the idea of being here and now with comedy. Every truth that is true in that movie, they make fun of it as if it's corny and stupid, and that's the whole intent of that movie. You see it as comedy, expression of a comedian to get some laughs, because you don't know how over your head these movie producers are and what is controlling them. If you want to call it Satan, ISIS, the serpent, whatever, it doesn't matter. So the best advice I can give to you is overcome your reality. That doesn't mean numb yourself to this world. It doesn't mean don't appreciate it. To be you, you're going to have to be able to appreciate everything. If you see something that doesn't make sense, rather than getting angry at it, look at it the way a doctor would look at a patient. See it for what it is, an accident, a problem. Understand it. Here's the problem with the Bible. Think of riding a bike. Imagine writing a book about riding a bike. You lay it all out, a really thick book, telling you the nature of the bike and how to ride it, how to balance what the bike is, what you should do, where you can go, how to properly ride a bike. And you give this to people, and they've never ridden a bike, but you make them memorize the book, forwards and backwards, and they all memorize it real well. Imagine also in this book that the people who wrote it did not want you to ride a bike. Because you see evidence of the bike around, but you've never ridden one, they need to create that book to include the evidence, but tear you away from it at the same time. So, because they don't want you to ride the bike, they have to be the authors of a book on how to ride it. Does that make sense? I mean, logically, that would be the strategy, would it not? If you want to control people and keep them from being able to ride a bike, then you have to be the one in charge of all the information about the bike and all the instructions on how to ride it. So what you're going to do is you're going to mess it up. Imagine adding things in like to properly ride the bike, you have to make sure that you lean all the way to the left. And remember, you're not good enough to ride the bike. You don't really deserve to ride the bike. And the bike is angry with you, and you're going to have to beg the bike for mercy, and the odds that you're going to be able to do it successfully are almost nil. But memorize the book anyway. And you have all kinds of contradictions in this book. But the people can't argue with the contradictions because they've never ridden a bike. Well, this is a metaphor, of course, and I can tell you something about Christ. He was a bike rider, and he rode the bike. And he was trying to get all of you to ride the bike. Instead, they're trying to get you to ride him. How do you control people? Why did they steal the teachings of Christ? Because his truth was so pure and of an understanding they didn't have that it's very alluring. So they had to take his teachings. But imagine this. Say You have 10 statements supposedly by Christ. Okay, make the first 7 authentic, and then add 3 more to corrupt it and slip in a rule here and there, some sort of rule about society and you that he didn't say. That's how you do it. And that's what they have done. And you're not going to be able to see what is and what is not until you ride a bike. If you haven't ridden a bike, how can you read a book about riding bikes that is corrupt and be able to see the corruption? If you haven't ridden a bike, you're not going to know what is true and what is not. He was a bike rider trying to get you to ride bikes, and they're trying to get you to ride him because they know if you try to ride him, you'll never ride the bike, and they got you. Let me ask you something. Did Christ feel like he needed to wear a specific outfit in order to be credible? Oh, that's right. No, he didn't. What book was this man regurgitating from? Oh, that's right. No book. He didn't need a book about riding bikes because he already knew how to do it. They're giving it a name and a procedure and a ritual called Christianity. What name did he give it? Oh, that's right. No name. You see, in the Bible, they even tell you, watch out for people who give long, extended sermons for praise and their outer persona. It's right in there. But with mind control, which is what religion is, people cannot allow themselves to see the direct contradictions. The parables, you have to understand that the knowledge he had is non-translatable. In other words, if you read a book about riding a bike, you can read it all you want. You can memorize it forwards and backwards and dedicate your life to that book. Someone puts you on a bike, you're going to fall. Period. Reading a book about riding a bike is not the same as intuitively riding a bike. And they know that. They know that all too well, you see, because Satan controls religion. And it loves it. It loves that you're memorizing this book on how to ride a bike. Do you understand? That's Satan's preference. It prefers that because at the right moment, for everybody who's memorized that book about riding bikes, Satan will put you on that bike and you're going to fall in the crucial time because you've depended upon a fraudulent book about bike riding. When the irony is you're naturally a bike rider. Parables are metaphors, okay? And they're meant to draw upon some sort of experience you've had to tune your mind to an understanding outside of descriptive words. Whatever Christ said to people when he was talking with them, if that happened, of course, would have been in the moment, catered to whoever he was speaking to. So he went on using parable after parable, metaphor after metaphor, because you can only bring people to the truth with metaphor. You can't tell them the truth with metaphor. So he'll try it again. It's like this and this. It's like this and this and this. To try to tune the mind to an experience that would be close because you know what it's like to ride a bike. So you try to draw upon something they might have done that would assist them, that the rules and regulations of control are keeping them from knowing. You work with what you got. That's what metaphors are. An attempt to work with what you've got, with understandings that you know exist in the people that you're trying to bring to a different understanding. Does that make sense? The problem is, the majority of these used car salesmen everybody calls priests, is that they're not qualified to teach you about spirit. You've been told that they are, but they're not. Do you understand that they are practicing occult Satanism, whether they know it or not? Some of them were probably indoctrinated into Catholicism. Others were indoctrinated into Satanism and are posing as Catholic priests. Either way, they're recruiting and manipulating people with it. And if somebody does know about the occult side of it, they're not going to tell you anyway, so you have to know the truth in order to be able to see this. They're not qualified to teach you about spirit. Why? Because even if their intentions are good, they've learned about God from the Bible. These people aren't qualified to teach you about spirit any more than somebody's qualified to teach you how to ride a bike who's only read a book about riding a bike, and a fraudulent one at that, and has never ridden one themselves. They're not qualified. But because the mind control is so stiff and so strong, and there's so much fear of the unknown attached to it, the people that desperately want to ride a bike but have been programmed with this would rather kill somebody who can show them how to ride the bike because of the fear and the mind control, which is what happened to Christ. Catholicism is pure Satanism. The problem is you shouldn't need to be told that. You should be able to see that. Priests that come out and need their audience and admiration in their temple. Why does God need a temple? A building? What? It means nothing. But they get off on that because everybody gives the priest their love. Oh, I gotta be nice to a priest so I get into heaven. They don't give anything back. They just absorb the love, which is what a lot of spiritual, quote, gurus do. They absorb your energy through admiration. Let go of the book. Trust yourself. Listen, you won't believe this, but you were designed to ride that bike. That's your very design, and the book is keeping you from knowing that you naturally know how to ride it. Forget the rigidity of this book. Trust your instinct. The only way you can understand the parables given by whoever that man was is to learn them via your spirit in congruence with the Spirit. Gain the knowledge so that you can look at the book and see what is true. Meaning, put the book down. It's not going anywhere. Put it down. And don't do it ritualistically through words. I'm going to pray for so-and-so and the Lord be thy name, blah, blah. That's all ritualistic and wrong. And if you pray like that, you're doing it from the mind and not the heart, and Satan knows that, which is why it wants you to use ritualistic prayer with words. And Christ knew that Satan would do that, which is why he would say, don't mindlessly mouth words. Trust your instinct. You have to stop the meaning you're projecting so that the real meaning can be revealed to you.